Everyone thinks the Separatists lost because they were weak, but here's what most Star Wars fans don't realize. The Trade Federation had some of the most advanced military technology in galactic history. Their vehicles were so effective they nearly conquered the entire galaxy before a single betrayal changed everything. Today, we're covering every ship, tank, and transport that made the Separatist war machine absolutely devastating. From massive battleships to lightning-fast speeders, this is the complete arsenal that almost destroyed the Republic. Let's jump in. The Lucrehulk-class Battleship. The Lucrehulk wasn't born for war. It was a cargo hauler that got very angry. When the Trade Federation needed to flex their muscles, they transformed these 3,170-meter giants into floating fortresses of absolute destruction. Doug Chiang based the design on a simple donut. But this wasn't your average breakfast pastry. This donut could carry 1,500 vulture droids, 50 landing craft, and enough battle droids to conquer entire star systems. The genius engineering was the modular design. The Trade Federation could literally detach the outer ring from the central core ship, fly down to a planet for negotiations, and reconnect later. It was like having a Death Star that could split apart and reassemble at will. The droid control computer housed in that central sphere was the brain of entire armies, which is exactly why when young Anakin took it out on Naboo, every droid on the planet just stopped. The Providence-class Dreadnought. If the Lucrehulk was the Trade Federation's sledgehammer, the Providence-class was Count Dooku's rapier. These 1,200-meter warships were built by the Quarren of the Free Dak Volunteers Engineering Corps, and they had a serious grudge against their Mon Calamari neighbors. The rivalry between these aquatic species drove incredible innovation. While Mon Cal shipyards were famous for organic flowing designs, the Quarren went for pure geometric efficiency. The result? A ship that could accelerate at 2,500 Gs, fast enough to leave most Republic vessels eating space dust. Those distinctive wing-like structures housed massive weapon arrays and fighter hangars. The crew of 900 droids operated from 3 separate bridges for maximum tactical coordination. General Grievous's flagship, the Invisible Hand, became the symbol of Separatist naval might during the Battle of Coruscant. What made these ships truly terrifying was their command and control systems. They could coordinate entire droid fleets while engaging in electronic warfare, making them mobile fortresses that could think and adapt. The Munificent-class Star Frigate. The Munificent was the backbone of the Separatist fleet, and honestly, it punched way above its weight class. At 825 meters, it was smaller than most Republic cruisers, but it packed firepower that could make a Venator captain sweat bullets. The Intergalactic Banking Clan funded these beauties, and their accountants made sure every credit counted. The ship's automated systems meant minimal crew requirements, mostly droids handling shields, navigation, and weapons. No organic crew meant no morale issues, no fatigue, and no hesitation in suicide missions. That heavy turbo-laser cannon could deliver precision strikes that would cripple larger ships, while the massive sensor array could slice into Republic transmissions and coordinate fleet movements with terrifying efficiency. General Grievous loved using these for hit-and-run tactics because they were fast enough to jump in, unleash hell, and vanish before reinforcements arrived. The Recusant-class light destroyer. Here's where things get interesting. The Recusant-class destroyer was built by Corellian Engineering Corporation under Separatist control. Yes, the same company that would later build the Millennium Falcon was cranking out warships for the enemy. At over 1,100 meters long, the Recusant was remarkably fast for a destroyer. It could outmaneuver ships twice its size while packing Dreadnought-level firepower. The multiple turbo lasers, ion cannons, and missile launchers could engage several targets simultaneously, making it a nightmare in fleet engagements. The advanced sensor arrays weren't just for show. They enabled independent deep strike operations or coordinated fleet tactics. Those large hangars could deploy swarms of vulture droids, extending the ship's combat reach far beyond its own weapons range. The crew requirements were minimal thanks to extensive automation, but skilled organic commanders often took control during critical battles. The Captor-class heavy munitions cruiser. Before the Clone Wars, when the Trade Federation was still a legitimate Republic organization, these several hundred-meter carriers were the backbone of the Trade Defense Force. Built by Quat Drive Yards, yes, the same company that would later build Republic warships, These ships had a fascinating dual purpose. They could transport Bacta shipments across the galaxy, but when pirates attacked, they'd deploy squadrons of fighters from their central hangars at devastating speed. The most famous moment came during the Stark Hyperspace War, when Trade Federation Captor-class ships launched Republic A6 interceptors, piloted by Jedi in a surprise attack. It was like having a Trojan horse that could suddenly unleash an entire fighter wing. The crew requirements were substantial, needing both organic supervisors and droid operators to coordinate the complex fighter deployment systems. By the time of the Clone Wars, ships like the Admiral Corvin were being used by figures like Wraith Cienar, equipped with 3,000 B-1 battle droids, 30 Vulture droids, and 3 C-9979 landing craft. These ships proved that sometimes the most effective weapon was one your enemy never saw coming. Core ships. When a Lucrehulk needed to get personal, it deployed its core ship. This 696-meter sphere was the detachable command center that could operate independently on planetary surfaces. The crew of 60 Trade Federation supervisors and 3,000 droid operators could coordinate ground operations while the main battleship provided orbital support. The core ship's massive reactor and fuel reserves allowed it to function as a mobile command base for extended periods. Those enormous dishes weren't just for show. They could control droid armies across entire continents while maintaining contact with the fleet in orbit. The Droch-class boarding ship. When the Separatists needed to capture ships intact rather than destroy them, they deployed these terrifying 18.5-meter boarding pods. Manufactured by Colicoid Creation Nest, and based on the Toothspike Raptor from Cola 4, these bell-shaped nightmares were designed for one purpose: punching through enemy hulls and delivering troops directly into the heart of Republic vessels. The genius was in the brutal simplicity. 4 retractable spikes, each 11.4 meters long, would pierce a target ship's hull at 850 kilometers per hour. Once anchored, a plasma-cutting ring would burn through the armor while a boarding tube extended from the central hatch. 6 fully equipped battle droids would then pour into the enemy ship, turning space battles into close-quarters nightmares. General Grievous used these extensively during the Malevolence campaign, not just for boarding, but as pod hunters to eliminate escape pods and keep the superweapon's existence secret. The single-seat flight deck required skilled pilots to coordinate the high-speed approach, spike deployment, and boarding operations. When Republic crews saw Droch-class ships approaching, they knew surrender might be their only option, because these things turned every space battle into a potential boarding action. The C-9979 landing craft. The backbone of every Separatist invasion, and honestly one of the most terrifying sights in the galaxy. At 210 meters long, these Hardcell engineering masterpieces were like mechanical locusts descending from orbit. The crew requirements were substantial, 231 total, with 88 automated battle droids and 143 organic officers. This wasn't just a transport, it was a mobile command center capable of independent operations. The modular design was pure genius. Wings could be detached for storage in Lucrehulk hangars, then reattached for deployment. Doug Chang based the design on dragonflies, and you can see it in the graceful yet predatory lines. But don't let the elegance fool you. These things could carry 114 AATs, 11 MTTs, 22 platoon attack craft, and 2,500 battle droids. When multiple landing craft hit atmosphere simultaneously, defenders knew they were about to face overwhelming odds. The deployment process could take 45 minutes, but once it started, there was no stopping the mechanical tide. The Multi-Troop Transport, or MTT. The MTT was the Separatist equivalent of a school bus. If school buses were armored death machines designed to deploy 112 battle droids into active combat zones. Manufactured by Bactoid Armor Workshop, this heavily armored repulsor lift transport was the backbone of every ground invasion. Doug Chang's design team based the MTT's appearance on an African elephant skull and tusks, and you can absolutely see it in that imposing front facade. The thick armor plating wasn't just for protection. It could ram through walls and fortifications like they were made of paper. The crew consisted of a pilot battle droid and gunner, with the pilot able to deviate from pre-programmed paths when tactical situations demanded it. The large compact front rack held droids in fetal position, packed like sardines for rapid deployment, through sliding hatches that opened faster than you could say, Roger, roger. Those twin heavy laser cannons weren't just for show. They could shoot down starfighters and provide devastating suppressive fire. The real terror was what came out of the MTT. When that ramp dropped and over 100 battle droids poured out, you knew your day was about to get very, very bad. The Platoon attack craft. The budget-friendly cousin of the MTT and a perfect example of Trade Federation cost-cutting genius. At only 37,000 credits versus the MTT's 120,000, these 26-meter repulsor sleds could carry the same 112 battle droids but with zero armor. Piloted by a pair of OOM pilot droids, the pack was essentially a flying rack that could move troops at 50 kilometers per hour, nearly twice the speed of an MTT. The open design made passengers vulnerable to small arms fire, but for secure areas or rapid redeployment, nothing beat the pack for efficiency. The Trade Federation loved these things because they could pump out 3 packs for the cost of one MTT. The C-9779 landing craft carried 28 packs compared to just 11 MTTs, showing how much the accountants valued quantity over protection. The Armored Assault Tank. The AAT was the main battle tank that defined Separatist ground warfare. Developed by the Trade Federation and perfected by the CIS, this sleek hover tank struck the perfect balance between mobility, firepower, and mass production efficiency. Bactoid armor. Workshop's engineers created something truly elegant. A tank that could glide over jungle canopies, urban rubble, and desert sands with equal ease. The hover system wasn't just practical, it was psychological warfare. The sight of these things floating silently toward your position was absolutely terrifying. The crew of 4 consisted of a tank commander, pilot, and 2 gunners, originally using OOM battle droid commanders and B-1s. The modular ammunition system was pure genius. 6 launch tubes fired plasma cocooned shells in 3 varieties: high energy, armor piercing, and bunker busters. When ammunition ran low, the entire foot section could be swapped out for instant reloading. The super tank. The super tank was the Separatists' answer to the question, what if we made something absolutely unstoppable? These massive siege engines required specialized crews to operate their complex systems, but the results were worth it. The reinforced plating was thick enough to shrug off direct hits from heavy artillery and concentrated blaster fire. Republic commanders quickly learned that conventional weapons were useless against these things. Only prototypes were made on Geonosis, but they proved the concept. Sometimes you need overwhelming force to break through impossible defenses. The Defoliator deployment tank, a modified AAT that replaced the heavy laser cannon with General Lock-Durd's Defoliator missile system. This weapon was designed to target organic life while leaving droids unscathed. The ultimate expression of Separatist philosophy. The crew operated the same as a standard AAT, but the psychological impact was enormous. Defenders knew that even if they survived the initial assault, their entire ecosystem could be destroyed, making resistance seem futile. The Bell-Balab 22 Heavy Starfighter. The Bell-Balab 22 was unique in the Separatist fleet. Their only heavy starfighter designed for organic pilots. Built by Phaethon Atra scalable assemblies, it bridged the gap between nimble droid fighters and slow-moving bombers. The rugged twin-boom frame housed retractable triple laser cannons, durable hull plating, and deflector shields, giving it serious staying power in a dogfight. While not the fastest ship in the fleet, it featured both primary and backup hyperdrives, making it capable of long-range missions. Most famously, it was flown by General Grievous in his customized version, the Soulless one. The ship's aggressive design matched Grievous's personality perfectly. Tough, intimidating, and built to last. When you saw a Bell-Balab 22 coming, you knew a serious pilot was behind the controls. The Rogue-class Porax 38 Starfighter. Originally built for General Grievous's Magna Guards, these high-performance craft featured forward-swept wings, dual laser cannons, and powerful sublight engines. The Porax Mass Drive Company designed them for elite pilots who needed every advantage in combat. Later, the Techno Union repurposed these for their droid pilots, particularly the Shi'Char, during battles like Munificent. Though not as common as standard droid fighters, the Porax 38 made up for rarity with raw speed, sharp maneuvering, and deadly accuracy. The single-trooper aerial platform. The Stab was basically a flying motorcycle for battle droids converted from civilian airhooks. These 2-meter speeders carried a single pilot and were incredibly agile, making them perfect for reconnaissance and harassment missions. The extremely light armament, just a pair of blaster cannons, meant they couldn't engage heavy targets, but their speed and maneuverability made them excellent for hit-and-run tactics. Battle droid pilots could navigate terrain that would challenge larger vehicles, slipping through forests and urban environments with ease. The Combat Speeder. The heavily armed evolution of the Staff were used toward the end of the Clone Wars. These featured a single pilot, but packed serious firepower, making them effective against both infantry and light vehicles. The design was so successful that even the Empire adopted them for patrol duties. The Flitknot Speeder. Unarmed, but incredibly fast, these were favored by Separatist elite forces who needed to get somewhere yesterday. The lack of weapons meant maximum speed and agility, perfect for courier missions or rapid evacuation of VIPs. The J-1 Proton Cannon. These massive artillery pieces were operated by a 2-droid team, typically 1 gunner and 1 spotter, and were semi-autonomous, capable of executing precision fire missions with minimal organic oversight. Designed for long-range engagements, these cannons played a pivotal role in key battles, such as the near-stalling of Republic landings on Ryloth and Geonosis. To function at peak effectiveness, they required coordination between their droid operators, external spotters, and tactical command units. The psychological impact alone was devastating. The shriek of incoming proton rounds was enough to shake enemy morale before the first shell even hit. Whenever Republic troops saw a J-1 being deployed, they knew the Separatists were preparing for a serious stand. The DH Omni support vessel. At 1,200 meters long, these supply ships were the unsung heroes of the Separatist war machine. Crewed by a few pilot battle droids and commanded by a T-Series tactical droid, these floating warehouses could carry deactivated battle droids, weapons, ammunition, and provide mobile repair facilities. The modular design allowed them to be reconfigured for different mission profiles, sometimes carrying relief supplies for propaganda purposes, other times hauling the components for entire droid armies. Not glamorous, but absolutely essential for sustained operations. The Trident-class assault ship. Pure nightmare fuel designed for underwater invasions, these required skilled pilots to navigate the complex drilling and deployment operations. The spider-like frame and drilling proboscis could breach any underwater facility, while the biomechanical appearance helped them blend with sea life. The pilots had to coordinate drilling operations, troop deployment, and combat maneuvers simultaneously, making this one of the most challenging vehicles to operate in the Separatist fleet. But when properly piloted, they could destabilize entire planetary defense networks. The Sheathipede-class transport shuttle. The Separatist VIP transport, these 20-meter shuttles required expert pilots to navigate dangerous situations while keeping high-value passengers safe. When Count Dooku or other leaders needed to travel, speed and pilot skill were often the difference between successful missions and disaster. The Punworcca 116-class Sloop. General Grievous's personal escape pod, this 15-meter craft was built for one purpose: getting the cyborg general out of impossible situations at maximum speed. When things went sideways for the Supreme Commander of the droid armies, this sleek vessel was his insurance policy. The pilot had to be ready for instant deployment and capable of outrunning entire Republic fleets. With its advanced hyperdrive and minimal profile, the Punworcca could slip past blockades and vanish into hyperspace before enemy sensors could get a lock. It wasn't built for combat, it was built for survival. When you're the most wanted cyborg in the galaxy, sometimes the best weapon is the ability to disappear completely. The Hardcell-class Interstellar transport. These 220-meter transports served as the backbone of Separatist logistics, moving supplies and personnel across the galaxy. The crew requirements varied based on configuration, but they typically operated with minimal organic supervision and extensive droid automation. And there you have it, the complete list of Separatist piloted vehicle arsenal that terrorized the galaxy. From the massive battleships requiring hundreds of crew to single-pilot starfighters, each one designed for maximum efficiency with minimal crew requirements. So what was your favorite vehicle? Drop a comment below and let us know. And if you want to see how the Republic responded to this mechanical onslaught, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.